Yo, what is good YouTube? It's the Deli back with another Onslaught build video, and today we're going to go over my Mothman build on Strand Hunter. You're going to be able to constantly blind enemies, spam grenades, get free overshield, and be amplified at the same time. Let's take a look at the build. Alright, so jumping into the build, we are going to be on Strand Hunter, and we're going to be using the exotic Mothkeeper's Wraps. Mothkeeper's Wrap's armor perk is Winged Eclipse. Your grenade becomes a cage of loyal moths that release on impact and fly toward the nearest target or ally. If they reach a target, they detonate in a blinding explosion. If they reach an ally, the moths grant your ally a void overshield. We're going to be able to get our grenade back really fast with the setup we're going to be running. This is really good because it stuns unstoppable champions, and you'll be able to provide overshield for you or your teammates. Now, the weapon of choice we're going to be pairing with this exotic is going to be Exteris. Exteris' intrinsic trait is Corrupted Nucleosynthesis. This weapon enrages when dealing or taking sustained damage, getting increased rate of fire while enraged. Also, this trait is Loyal Moths. Final blows with this weapon create a loyal moth. The moth will seek out nearby targets and detonate, damaging and blinding them. This pairs very well with our exotic armor because we're going to be constantly making more moths and blinding more targets at the same time. And when you get a kill while enraged and you have the catalyst, it's going to make you amplified, so you're going to be able to move around the map really fast. And when you get to that part where you got to dunk the spark, this is really good because you just zoom by all the enemies. Alright, now let's take a look at our super abilities, aspects, and fragments. For our super, we only have one option. It's going to be Silk Strike. This is very good for clearing mobs of ads. For our abilities, I like to be on Marksman's Dodge just so I don't have to reload my weapons like my heavy machine gun or my primary weapon. For the jump, I'm on Triple Jump. This is just preference. We only have one melee option, Threaded Spike, but I really like Threaded Spike. It can hit multiple enemies at a time and it severs them, so they're going to be doing less damage to you. And for our grenade, doesn't really matter since our grenade is going to turn into moth grenades anyway. And taking a look at the aspects, we're going to be using Whirling Maelstrom. Destroying a tangle will weave a violent, writhing mass of strand fibers. The strand mass seeks out and damages targets, emitting unraveling projectiles when it defeats them. So this is the Beyblade that you see sometimes people running. This is actually very good for Onslaught. You're going to be able to clear out a bunch of ads, and it actually does a pretty good amount of damage, unlike the chunkier enemies that spawn later in rounds. It's just a very good aspect for this build. We're going to be pairing this aspect with the other aspect, Threaded Spectre. Activating your class ability leaves behind a decoy woven from strand matter that draws the attention of nearby combatants. After taking significant damage or when combatants approach, the decoy detonates, dealing damage and releasing threadlings that seek out and attack nearby foes. This is another very strong aspect, especially when you get Tormentor rounds. You're going to be able to make that decoy, and the Tormentor will just aggro the decoy. This pairs very well with the other decoy upgrades you can get too, because it just takes that aggro off of you and your teammates and gets that Tormentor's focus on something else, so you can just clear ads and just quickly melt him before he does any damage to the ADU. These aspects are very, very strong on this build. Now let's take a look at our fragments. Our first fragment of choice is going to be Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy. It is a -10 to discipline, but this is a very good fragment because we're going to constantly be spamming our grenade launcher and our machine gun, just giving us our grenade back faster. Very, very good. For our second fragment, we're going to be using Thread of Warding. Picking up an Orb of Power grants Woven Mail. This is -10 to resilience, but this is just free damage resist. We're going to be constantly making orbs of power because we're going to be spamming our grenade launcher, and we're going to constantly, just be a little more tankier. For our third fragment of choice, I'm using Thread of Binding. This is just to get the +10 on resilience. Super final blows emit a suspending burst from the target. This could be very good too if you get a little overwhelmed and have to panic pop that super. Anytime you get a final blow, it's just going to suspend targets around them, so it is a pretty good fragment, but it can be subbed out for something else if you do have 10 resilience already. And for our final fragment, this is another fragment. You can put something else here. I just like using Thread of Ascent since I'm going to be spamming grenades and I'm going to be able to reload my weapons, and it's also a +10 to our mobility, so we can get our class ability back a little quicker. But Thread of Ascent, activating your grenade ability reloads your equipped weapon and grants bonus airborne effectiveness and handling for a short duration. Like I said, it can be subbed for something else. Alright, now let's take a look at our weapons of choice. I'm going to be using a Rufus's Fury. You can use any Strand primary for this build. I just like to use my Rufus's Fury since I have Demolitionist on it, and it's going to help me get that grenade energy back a little quicker. We already went over our exotic of choice, Exterius. For our heavy weapon, I like to use a machine gun for the ad clear rounds, not the boss rounds. So any machine gun or even a rocket launcher is really good. It depends, like if you have a warlock with cenotaph mask, then a rocket launcher would be a better choice. But you could use circular logic. There's also the Mercado 45, that's a world drop. So if you have a good roll of this, you could slap that on as well. All right, now let's take a look at our armor mods. On our helmet, we're going to be running 1 harmonic siphon, rapid strand weapon, vital blows, create orbs of power. This is going to be really good when you're spamming that machine gun, or if you have to use your primary, it's just going to be lots of orbs. We're also going to be running 1 arc siphon since we're going to be spamming our grenade launcher as well. That's just another way to create some orbs. And we're going to be running 1 heavy ammo finder. You could swap this in for special ammo finder if you're having a hard time getting special ammo. But I never really ran out of special ammo running with heavy ammo finder. I had plenty of special, and then since I'm running a heavy machine gun as well, I would just swap if I got a little low. But you should have no problem finding some special ammo for your Exterius. And for our gauntlets, we're going to be running 2 grenade kickstarts. When your grenade energy is fully expended, your armor charge is consumed and you gain grenade energy for each armor charge used. Grenade Kickstart is really strong here because it pairs very well with the artifact mod Blast Radius. Since we're going to be constantly spamming our grenade launcher, we're going to get armor charge for free. So you'll constantly have, 3 stacks of armor charge, which will be consumed to give you a good chunk of grenade energy back. So we're going to have our grenade back really fast with this build. And I also like to use 1 fastball just so I can really chunk that grenade really far if I need to. And on our chest armor, this is just preference. I'm running arc resist because it was arc threat and onslaught, and then 1 concussive dampener just to reduce that AoE damage. But this is all just preference here. And on our leg armor, we're going to be running 1 recuperation, replenishes health each time you pick up an orb of power, just a free way to get some health. 1 innervation, reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power, so another way to get free grenade energy. And we're going to be running 1 arc scavenger. Since we're going to be spamming our grenade launcher, anytime we pick up special ammo brick, we're going to get more ammo. And finally, on our class item, we're going to be running double bomber. So anytime we use our class ability, we're going to get a little bit of grenade energy back. We're going to be running 1 reaper. Shortly after using your class ability, your next weapon vital blow spawns an orb of power. So this is just another way to create orbs of power for you and your fire team. Very, very strong combo. Alright, now let's take a look at the artifact mods. There are some very good artifact mods that pair very well with this build. We went over Blast Radius. We're going to be using Exterius, so it's going to be a free way to get armor charge. Another one I'm running is Origin Perk Specialization 1. This is because I'm running Circular Logic, and Circular Logic has nanotech tracer rockets. You don't have to run this, you could run something else, but I'm running this specifically because I'm using Circular Logic. The other 2 important artifact mods are Unraveling Orbs and Horde Shuttle. Unraveling Orbs. Picking up an orb of power grants strand weapons unraveling rounds. This is really good because you're going to be able to get unraveling rounds on your machine gun, which can stun barrier champions. We're going to be able to stun every type of champion with this build because Exterius and Mothkeeper's Wraps can stun unstoppable champions. You're going to be able to stun overload champions with overload auto rifle. And then since we have unraveling rounds, our machine gun can stun barrier champions. Just really strong combos. And then Horde Shuttle. Damaging unraveled targets with a weapon occasionally spawns a threadling. This is just going to help with ad clear. You're going to get, those little bugs to pair with your moths very well. Very, very good. And that's going to be it for the build. You can see all the armor mods right here, all the artifact mods right here, and my stat distribution. I like to prioritize 100 discipline and 100 resilience. All my weapons and their respective roles. And then if you are interested in my Mothman drip, if you tried this build out and liked it, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The dim link will be in the description of the video, and more Destiny 2 Onslaught builds coming very soon. Thanks again, I'm the Deli, and you have a good one. Peace.